So hello everyone, and thank you for watching us today. Hello ladies, thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to see you outside of a screen. For the ones who don't know me, I'm Alexandra Palacci. I'm the co-founder of BitCheck, one of the leading UA management platforms. So today we're having a panel about women in hyper-casual and how to engage the female audience. If we're looking at the latest industry reports about gaming, we'll see that a big portion of mobile players are what we call time fillers. Okay, the name is kind of self-explanatory, but people playing games when they have time, mostly on their mobile. What's interesting is to see that 61% of those time fillers are women. And this actually makes women the primary audience for hyper-casual games. So what we wanted to do here is to kind of celebrate these women in front of their screens, but also the women behind the scenes, and to start this Women in Hyper-Casual panel. So today is the first event. We're hoping to have many more. So we've gathered the leading experts in hyper-casual. They're all here with me today. Of course, all of them are women. And we're going to speak today about game development, user acquisition, monetization, and how to adapt everything to a women audience. So in 2 words, how to target, acquire, retain, and monetize women players. So girls, please, if you could introduce yourself. We'll start with you, Noah.
So hi. Thank you for inviting us. My name is Noah. I lead the data in Supersonic for the past 6 months. We deal with in the data team from the tech perspective into the business, trying to develop automatic tools and utilize the UA and monetization activity to make it the most efficient and data-driven as it can be.
So I'm Noam, managing the operations side at Supersonic, responsible for the UA, monetization, and all the business aspect of Supersonic. I've been in the company since we established 6 months ago, which is obviously part of Iron Source, in which I'm 7 years at.
Hi, my name is Yarden. I'm heading the user acquisition and monetization at Ovivo Games. We are a publisher and a game studio. I'm in the industry for the last 8 or 9 years, mainly in a networks side, doing UA and monetization.
My name is Moria. I'm head of publishing in CrazyLabs. I'm working in CrazyLabs since 2014, so around 7 years already. And I'm leading the whole publishing pipeline, from finding developers and launching the games.
My name is Corinne. I'm a user acquisition manager at CrazyLabs. I've been there for 3 years, and I'm part of the user acquisition team for the hyper-casual lab specifically.
Thank you. Thank you, girls. So my first question is going to be to you, Moria. I would like to understand, in the hyper-casual category, what are the games genres that women play the most?
I think that you can see that females play more, let's say, makers, DIY, kind of simulation games, more than runners, shooters, or stuff like that. I think that females are, likes to play hyper-casual the most. I can tell it for myself that I consider myself as a non-gamer, and this is why hyper-casual is the right game for me. And within hyper-casual, I will always tend to choose the games that will have no-fail conditions or level-based, that I can, take a level here and a level there and just play it whenever I can. So I think that I am the perfect example for a hyper-casual player, a female player. So I think that most of it is like simulations and stuff like that.
Noam, do you agree?
I agree, but basically, from what we analyzed, I saw that within the hyper-casual industry, women are playing more puzzle and match 3 games. Generally speaking, with the rise of hyper-casual in the past, let's say 2-3 years, we do see more people playing games in general, from both genders and from all age ranges. As you said, it's like time consuming, or time for pleasure, less than what it used to be with the more hardcore or casual. Exactly.
What about you, Yarden?
I totally agree that it's kind of a time killer. I also find myself playing in between and on the go. It's this kind of genre, and yeah, I definitely think that puzzles are maybe the most common by far, and then all the crafts that Moria mentioned, and DIY, maybe a bit of strategy, arcade games.
I think that because women and and hyper casual, like I said before, consider to themselves as non-gamers, they are just using the game as a toy. So you can see women, and I believe that also men, but in most of the games that we are analyzing, such as tie-dye, ASMR slicing, soap cutting, you can see mostly women play these games because they want to get the feeling of how it's been done in reality, but no one will actually go and cut soap, so why not using the toy instead of it and leaving the mess aside? So I believe that this is part of the motivation of why females are playing these kind of games other than males, because they probably gonna play more shooting games other than females. I know it sounds pretty stereotypes, but this is what the data tells us, and
it's based on data. We accept stereotypes.
Yeah, I know. I feel uncomfortable sometimes saying that, but that's what the data is telling us.
You agree, Yarden and Noam? It's what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, we're very much like all the hyper casual is very much data driven, and as much as it's stereotype and maybe hard even to accept, and so yeah, definitely women would like to have some boredom beating moments, some entertainment, stress relief, and men are more for the shooting, for the RPG, for these kind of games.
Cool. So we still don't live in a world where there are no differences.
Not yet.
Okay, so now that we talked a little bit more about the motivations, I would like to try and understand more about how to build a game for the female audience. And my first question will be to try and see if you think we should build women-specific games, and if yes, what needs to be done in terms of, like the specificities of the game, the technicities of the game. What's your opinion, Yarden?
So first of all, I think that that we shouldn't. We personally target broad, and but there are some. We do see that first of all, appealing in the video ads and all advertisement is a big is affecting a lot the adoption of specific genders, and also some kind of meta features that we're adding to the game. Some little features, design, colors.
When we're developing a game, it can be either publishing or in-house development, we are trying to build something that will have mass appeal. So everybody will play it. But being honest, I know that sometimes when I have an idea for a game, it will be a female game to begin with. So when I'm planning the game itself, I'm thinking about females who will play it, but I try to think as wide as I can and try to have features that will attract both genders. But sometimes you can't avoid it, and it's business. You want to have, the most downloads for your game and usage, and if females bring that, then that's great.
What's your take on that, Noam?
I 100% agree. Hyper casual, we try to usually appeal to everyone, to both genders. When we do user acquisition, we usually buy broad and target everyone. And then if we see a specific trend, or if we see that it's more appealing to one of the genders, then we'll adjust accordingly. Like we'll change the colors, the background, we'll add additional characters.
You'll adjust to attract more of this gender, or to try to balance?
Either balance or attract more.
Depending on what?
Obviously data and the revenue generated from these users. And then we decide. That's part of the optimization that we do on like a day-to-day basis. But initially the strategy is to target everyone and to appeal to everyone.
Okay, so it happens to you that you're consciously shifting the audience from, I don't know, men to women or women to men, yes?
Yes, we actually have an example that Noah can share.
So we had a game that the engagement rate for men was much higher than the female users, and we were trying to increase the engagement for women. And so we had a plan to implement more female characters in the game. And when we finished to do this change and we analyzed the result, then we find out that actually the results weren't good as we expected them. And then we went into details, and we understand that the way that the implementation was done, but more not in the tech perspective, but more in the the thought that was behind it was a bit old-fashioned, and basically it hurt the business. And the bottom line was that female users, not that they were engaged more, they kind of the retention was more dramatically, and we had the conclusion that once we want to do it, we must be super accurate and put a lot of thoughts and efforts and try to implement those kind of changes, especially when it comes to gender, because it's super hot topic, and to analyze everything.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone else has an example to share or some kind of
Karin and
tips?
I were just talking about Run Sausage Run. It was, I think, our first hyper casual hit.
One of the big
and
hits.
It mostly played by males. And Karin, I think that you were working on this game for a long time. And we were trying to bring more females to this game, and we had female sausages, and we changed the colors and did everything that you are mentioning, and eventually it's a sausage that runs and gets killed. No matter what you do, you can't change the core of the game. And if the core speaks to male more than females, then whatever you do won't change the final result. Same as if your core is a female core, that females likes to play more than males, it will be hard to bring more males to.
Yeah, I agree that
do tie-dye.
I agree that the bottom line is, as you mentioned, just to try to make your business growing and to have more users, and it doesn't really matter their gender. But once you analyze the data behind it and you understand the picture well, then you have the ability really to target, and maybe the numbers say that you can't attract them. And then sometimes it happened to us as well, that we just can't affect the gender distribution.
Karin, when you're trying to do creative, do you specifically trying to do ads for males? I'm not sure.
No, I don't recall ever trying to bring specifically male to a certain app.
Maybe only if we see potential.
Yeah, so the idea is to
So
start
maybe
with the broadest
yeah,
theme as
exactly.
possible. Yeah. Then you look at the data, you see if it attracts more male, female. You rebalance according to who's bringing the most revenues, let's be clear on that. And then you try to shift the game according to the gender with some types of features like the creative, like the backgrounds, the colors, not too old-fashioned characters. And okay, very interesting. So now I would like to take the gender specific from another perspective. And I would be interested to know if you think that the fact that you are women, you know, and no matter what your role is in the company, if it's a UA manager, game developer, whatever, do you think that it has an effect in the business? Like, for example, if you're thinking of a new game, do you think that the fact that you're a woman is going to impact the theme of the game or the features of the game? Moria.
I'm trying not to give it, you know, to have such an impact on part of my ideation, but I think that most of the ideas that I bring to the table and, you know, ideation sessions that we're doing are more likely to be played by women at the end of the day. I believe that that becomes like a benefit for the company at the end of the day, because if the ideas that females are bringing becomes better hits at the end of the day, then we all win from it. And I think that we have a great balance in our team, that some of the ideas are male oriented and females. But
Yeah.
it definitely has an effect on the way that I'm creating. And I think that also most of the games that I'm trying to create are trend-based from Instagram, TikTok, and are more likely to be played by females at the end.
And Noam, do you see the same like at Supersonic? You also, I guess, I mean, gender diversity, I think it's everywhere. You have it at Ovivo, Supersonic, and CrazyLabs. So you feel it's a benefit? Do you feel that there is an interaction between men and women, for example, in the ideation process? Or
Definitely. I mean, I'm happy to say that the distribution between female and males within Supersonic is basically kind of 50-50. And we have females in all teams, if it's R&D, if it's a game design, in product, which obviously has a positive effect. Different genders are always, I mean, different perspectives always are good for innovation and for ideas and creativity, and obviously have different aspects and different view on specific things. I mean, it's not that. I think it's pretty equal within Supersonic. I don't think that we're developing games that will appeal more to females or developing games that will appeal more to males. And there are obviously, when we analyze the results, there are games that are more for females, games that are more for males, depending on the trend, depending on the game. But generally speaking, it's almost 50-50 what we see.
Yarden, do you want to add something to that? I guess it's 50-50 in Ovivo as well.
Yes. And yeah, I definitely think that we should hug the diversity and to have as many ideas as possible, and that obviously every one of us in every role and obviously every industry bring his identity and personality to the table, and even the game that we were playing, or even the book that we were reading. So
I think that in the bottom line, once you have a game and when it's hit, then maybe the pressure is higher to maintain the success, and then you just try to squeeze the lemon the best and understand what are the groups that you're not fulfilling the potential, or where you can put some effort in order to achieve more revenue, more users. And basically it's something that we all share, because we all want to get to this ending point.
So I would like the last part of this panel to be more focused on more technical stuff, so monetization, UA, and the different tactics. And my first question is going to be about the data. I know that every game has different data, that we're trying to keep a broad audience, but we're here to speak about the female audience. So have you seen any trends in terms of data when it comes to monetizations, to revenues, retention, sessions, like how long do women stay on a game if it's more than men? Do you have any insights on that?
In the world of privacy that we live in, we don't really have the data within an app. If women or men play more, if they bring more revenue, stuff like that. What I did preparing for this panel is actually looking at our male-oriented apps and our female-oriented apps in the assumption that more women play the female-oriented and more men play there. And between those apps, we don't see a difference in eCPMs, for example, from ads revenue. But obviously, if the app itself, the game itself, is more female-oriented, then women would be more retained. And we know that more women play this game, so I guess that's the world we live in. Within the app, we don't really have this data, and honestly, I don't see a difference even between two games. The eCPM is what it is at a given time. Just the game needs to fit the audience.
Actually, so first of all, our perspective, I guess maybe we share the same one because it's mainly based on ads. Our current status is that like 98% of the revenue is based on ads, so it's a bit biased, I guess. But we did saw that like in one game that we were analyzing the revenue from like gender perspective, that women had higher LTV comparing to the men. But I agree with what you said, that it's like very one game specific, the way that it's built, and we do find other ways to try to impact on this specific like topic, and we do it mainly within the game design, because as we said in the hyper casual, there's like a straight or like a very strong correlation between the game itself and the game monetization. So we try to maximize the way that we design or implement the ads in order for it to fit both genders, to try to maximize the revenue and may like the biggest audience win when we try to get the decision in terms of the A/B testing that we do.
So in terms of how you adapt your monetization strategy for female, you don't really do it. It's more in terms of implementation of the ad and how it fits, or?
Yeah, but the example that we had before is that we understood that there's a need for game design improvement in terms of the female audience, because it was like very specific toward men, and we knew that because the way that we acquire the users, then we knew that they were like female audience, so we wanted to adjust the game itself to the audience. And we did A/B tests that showed us that it might be a good idea to implement more female characters, but eventually the way that it was done wasn't as we expected. So basically we learned that it's something that is like high potential to success, but we need to put effort in trying to make the process very smooth.
But did you notice anything? I mean, for example, women like more playable ads, or are more likely to click on a playable than a video. Like, do you have some kind of insights on that?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's. I mean, the only thing that we can get is from Facebook, and it's with the user acquisition side, that whether the ad was shown to female or males, or how many like women clicked the ad or not. But I don't think we can get. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but with privacy, it's kind of impossible to break down the data by genders.
But if you compare like a women-specific game and a male-specific game, would you see any difference in terms of?
It's really hard to compare because each game is its own world.
Yeah.
So you always start with A/B test for your waterfall, for your monetization profile, and you just choose the best profile for the specific game.
Okay, clear. Great. Well, I would like to speak now about a very famous topic, iOS 14. We are all disappointed, I guess, that it was supposed to be next week, right? Everyone is sad, I guess, at the end of the day. Everyone thought they would be happy, but after all the work that was put in. But anyway, it's just delayed, right? It's going to happen. So my question is, do you feel that with iOS 14 and the IDFA opt-in and blah, 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 is it going to impact your marketing strategies? And Yarden, I would like to start with you, because the idea is that you will be less able to target specific genders.
Yeah, so basically there is a lot of question marks in this field from the MMP's side, from ad networks. It's unknown how it's going to work, but I think it means for us, for UA managers, for monetization managers, that we need to be a lot more creatives, a lot maybe less doing the optimization, toggling things up or down, but thinking more of different ways to appeal for specific users, specific group of users.
Okay, and Karin, what do you think about that?
I don't think our work will change that much after everyone gets adjusted to what will happen. Because our apps, like Moya said, like all the girls said, they're for mass appeal, so they're for everyone. So we basically just show the gameplay. These are the best ads always. We just show the gameplay, and the audience that likes the game come and play the game. So I think there will be some change in terms of targeting, because how the ad networks react to this, but I don't see much of a difference in user acquisition side in terms of creatives at least.
And can you think of, I don't know, alternative ways? You said, Yarden, that we need to be creative, and do you guys already have some idea, Noam, about what you will be able to do?
Well, basically, as we said, that we're targeting the broad audience, but I'm not sure if we'll be able even to break down the data with the iOS 14 era, but we have an example of a creatives that was more appealing to females than men. It's a bit stereotype, and it's like a pink creative that worked better for females and a black creative that worked better for males. So I'm assuming that obviously changing the colors, the background, the gameplay a little bit, adding characters as mentioned before, might be more appealing to one of the genders. So this is one of the ways to affect the user acquisition side. But in terms of specific targeting, I'm not sure it will be possible anymore.
And Yarden, do you feel that maybe there are new channels or way to market that are going to allow you to address this audience?
Yeah, I think maybe again we also target broad, but if we do want to target specific audience, I think there are additional ways to do it. Maybe using influencers, using more the like just the web, the social networks. A lot of viral activity.
Great.
And Android. For now.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, so now it's our last question, and it's actually a surprise question, so you girls are not prepared to it. But we're lucky enough to have in Israel and in this panel some of the biggest hyper-casual companies. So we have Supersonic, we have Ovivo, we have CrazyLabs. So I would like to ask you if there are any questions that you would like to ask each other about how they're doing things. Of course, you're not going to reveal any secret, but something that, Supersonic wants to ask Ovivo or CrazyLabs or... yeah.
Interesting.
I'd like to ask the girls from Supersonic, what do you girls find the most challenging in terms of business development that maybe you hear from your colleagues within the first, competition that we have in the hyper-casual arena?
I think that maybe in terms of it's great to take all the knowledge that we gain as iron sourcers and try to implement it, but there is like a whole new business that we have no experience, or we had no experience, and the massive amount of games, of prototypes of the machine in order to make everything like super smooth was like a huge challenge, and therefore we try to put like most of the focus, or I don't know if most, but the R&D and the BI stack and the structures, because it's like everything from scratch. So it's a huge challenge, and this is what we are trying to do basically since day one, to build a good platform to be able to serve our developers.
And our needs, obviously,
Yeah.
in terms of data and seeing everything like in one place. It's a bit different than what we had at Iron Source. That is like only one side, either the advertiser or the publisher. Now we're both, obviously. So.
Any other question?
Maybe I'll ask the CrazyLabs ladies. You have shifted in the past year, I think, from like TopTail into CrazyLabs, and it's not only a naming, I think, right? So what can you say about like the change that you've made and how it affected your business or focus?
Definitely. So TopTail was originally started from educational games to casual games for toddlers, and I think that and CrazyLabs was just one of our brands and our accounts, and we did all the crazy stuff there. All the more mature content was uploaded to that account, and we saw that that the market and our players are getting a little bit older and playing a different type of games. So we saw that CrazyLabs become the front of the company. So at the end of the day, we decided to say goodbye to the kids' games and put CrazyLabs at the front, and we changed it officially in all channels. And it made a big change, because our focus these days is the casual games and lifestyle, let's get light RPG and simulation games, and of course hyper casual. So we are now more focused, and all the tools that we're building are focused on that, and we're using VidShake's tool, of course, to help us with that.
Yeah, I was thinking that in a way you guys had similar path, because I mean, if you've been here for 3 years, if you were targeting toddlers, and now you're like targeting the broadest audience, so it's not the same networks, it's not the same KPIs, it's not the same, so it's like the adaptation. And I think to finish, it would be interesting to hear the view of Yarden, because Ovivo is a smaller, hyper-casual publisher. They don't have the insights on the acquisition and monetization, although they have it because Yarden has a lot of experience with that networks. So I would like to get your stance on that, and what are the challenges that you guys are facing. And
so I think being both a publisher and a game studio is a challenge itself, because you need to kind of balance it. You need to decide where you put your sources, and for a small company and big companies, it's like the sources are at some point they are limited. So I think that's one challenge. Then there are a lot. It's like it's a blue ocean. There are a lot of game developers that are looking for someone to publish their game, and they are all sure their games are
The best.
the next hit. Yeah, the best. So I think being kind of like communicating with those guys and trying to analyze and be very, very data driven, and not to be distracted by the personality and all this kind of stuff is another challenge. And something that maybe I see lately, I don't know if to call it a trend, but I'd be very happy to hear what you have to say about it. is that I see kind of in terms of the gameplay, there are more kind of meta features that are more common on the casual games that are now kind of being adapted to hyper casual by Voodoo, Legendary, all those companies, and I was just curious to hear if you have, if you feel the same, if you saw it, what do you think, if that's the next thing on hyper casual, if it's gonna go there, or it's just irrelevant.
I think there's a place for everything. You think that hyper casual will be only ultra casual or hybrid casual. I think that there is room for everything. I thought that by now we would have seen more hybrid casual than we see today. I think it kind of stayed the same. Some games succeed to do that, but taking casual meta features and bringing them to hyper casual is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of effort and A/B testing to do that. So I think that we will continue to see those attempts to go hybrid, but we will also see the ultra casual, and we keep see the regular hyper casual, in my opinion.
So I would like to thank you a lot, ladies, for being with us today. I feel very lucky to have you all on this panel. I think it was super interesting, super qualitative, with very good vibes. So thank you. Thank you everyone for watching us. We hope that we will continue bringing industry experts together face to face. It's very important to a lot of events, panels and everything, and try to support all the women in hyper casuals, the players or the ones behind the scenes. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.